next section, in the famous words of Austin Powers, yeah, baby, because he's always talking about mojo, having his mojo.
Yeah, it's the mojo section.
Right, exactly. How can you get your mojo back if you've been proactive, you've been taking action, but maybe things haven't been working out the way that you want to. You start to feel a bit demotivated, a bit uninspired. You may even lose a bit of your confidence. How do you get back in the game?
Right. For those of you who are not sure what the word mojo means, it's that je ne sais quoi, it's that feeling of being self-confident. You know, like some days you're walking down the street and you're like, I can do this. And other times you're like, I definitely can't do this, you know. Or if you're in the worst state of them all, which is where you're saying, I am doomed, that's showing that you've lost a bit of your mojo there. And it is understandable because when we don't have the experiences that we want and we feel like you're really trying and you're not getting there, dating can and feel a little bit tiring and it can run you down. And of course, like we said at the start, what we really want for you is we want you to stay in the process, because if you stay in the process, you keep that open mind, I know you're going to meet someone who is awesome for you. So to begin, probably one of the most powerful things we can do if you're in that state of mind is we can look for you to choose a narrative that is more empowering. So if you are saying things, I'd say the worst end of the spectrum, I'm doomed, I'm never going to meet someone, and we've all said, I've said this. Have you ever said this? Well,
No, I haven't said that, but I may have said some other things around the opposite sex where I feel like there's no point.
Yeah.
Oh, won't go into that, but yeah.
So if that is your narrative at the moment, that's the story you're telling yourself, that is what you're waking up, that's what you're thinking and feeling when it comes to dating. How can someone, little step by little step, start to shift that narrative?
It's shifting the internal dialogue that we're having with ourselves, because generally speaking, if we are uninspired, if we feel like we've lost our mojo, it's usually stemming from because of the internal dialogue we're having with ourselves, such as, I'm doomed, I'm not going to find anyone, my time's gone. It's these conversations that we're having with ourselves inside, on repeat, ongoingly, every day, which causes us to generate those feelings of being disempowered. So what you want to begin to do is start shifting your conversation to being a bit more nicer to yourself. All right? And I think kids up until a certain age are really great at this. They just have amazing conversations about themselves and the world and life. And no matter how much you might try and influence them, they are grounded in that. And we grow up and we kind of start to lose touch with those innocent and beautiful and empowering ways to be able to feel and relate to ourselves in life and to be able to look at life. So, for example, a common thing that we find when we're working with both men and women is a conversation where they don't feel they're good enough. They don't feel they're of value. I'm not enough. That's usually a conversation that they're having. That's not a fact. It's not a truth. It's just an opinion that that person has, that they've said to themselves on repeat, ongoingly. And so what there is to do is to shift that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if you are in that state, you're feeling like I'm doomed or I'm not good enough, if someone says, oh, just be confident or you need to think more positively, you're going to think, that does not feel true for me.
Yeah.
So because of that, we have to shift it a little bit by little bit. So can you give an example of some of those sort of shifts a person can make towards something that's more empowering?
Yeah, so let's say you have the conversation about yourself that I'm not good enough. Jumping from that straight to I'm good enough is not going to feel believable. So you may say, do you know what, one day I might feel I'm good enough. And that might feel better than that I'm not good enough. And then after you've said that more and more, actually, I think that I can be good enough. And you continue with that. You continue to nurture and cultivate that. Actually, I am good enough. Actually, I am good enough. Actually, and now you've shifted from the I'm not good enough all the way to I am good enough.
Right. And to have that shift, an exercise we advise you to do is you can start to embody this as a daily mantra. Now, you might feel at the start like a little bit of, why am I doing this? You know, I'm talking to the mirror, or I'm saying this in, you know, every hour of the day or as I get up. But what will happen is if you can start repeating that to yourself, and if it, again, it's not like you can't believe that. It's something you can kind of get on board with a bit. You can slowly
you'd like to believe.
Exactly. Right. You can slowly get in charge of that internal dialogue Because remember, if you feel better about yourself on a day-to-day basis, this is going to help to fortify you and to, again, get you that mojo back to go out there and have those dating experiences. Now, something else I think is quite important, though, that we don't talk about all that much in the area of dating and mojo getting back in, is sometimes when we think about dating, we think that it is all about, you know, I have to go on, you know, 3 dates this week, or I must find someone by Christmas. Now, do you see how like punishing and just like unfun that sounds as a dialogue? If you're really feeling that way at the moment, I want you to remember that taking a break to recharge your batteries and actually having a mini time out from dating doesn't mean that you're giving up on dating. It doesn't mean that you're not going to return. It's just going to give yourself a time to look after yourself a bit. So not all great action steps with dating are about getting more dates, more phone numbers, getting a relationship. Sometimes the start of it is to go, actually, you know what, I do feel a little bit heartbroken, or I do feel a bit run down, and I'm going to give myself permission that if I want to have a couple of weeks just to do things I like, whether that's Dragon Ball Z or a Renaissance novel or whatever else you like, give yourself permission to do that and take your foot off the accelerator for a bit with dating, and you'll be surprised as well. I think when we have these quiet moments, when your phone is on airplane mode, you're not on your laptop, in fact, this is a no Wi-Fi situation, you're going to start to get a lot of clarity over how you're actually thinking and feeling about what's really important to you.
Yeah, I think another thing along with that as well is being self-reflective on your wins. Being able to remember to acknowledge your wins. And the wins aren't just when that one particular result that you wanted to happen happens. It's all the little steps up until that point. So, for example, whether it's because you've given yourself that permission to have that rest, that's a win. Whether it's because you have gone on that date, that's a win. Whether it's because you got to explore and get to know someone else, that's a win.
So we really need you to start acknowledging your wins more as well. So remember, in the section, we've encouraged you to do a daily mantra, which you think is true for you. So give me a couple of examples of mantra.
Examples maybe, I give myself permission to get it wrong. I give myself permission to be myself. It may be, I'm ready for more ease. I'm ready for more love. I choose to be authentic as much as I can in this moment. I choose to live fully. It might be no regrets.
Well, you're a mantra machine, Ashley.
There's so many, but the key thing isn't about just saying it, like how I've just been able to repeat it right there. It's about actually saying something that actually relates to you and feels good for you, because what will be for one person will be different for someone else. So that's the key when it comes down to the mantra and the self-talk.
Exactly.
But as long as you're being nicer to yourself.
Okay, so we want to do that.
Yeah.
We also want to be okay to take a bit of a time out. And then when it comes to recognising your wins, now, again, we're moving away from this outcome-orientated, it's that phrase again, way of looking at a win, which is, you know, I've got the number, I've got the date, I've got the relationship. Because again, that can be a really sticky part which can really stop you from feeling good about yourself. So instead of focusing on the outcome, let's focus on the steps that you are successfully taking already towards that outcome. And to acknowledge them properly, I would suggest you write them down. So it's not just a thought that's kind of going around your head, but you actually make time to make a note of your wins on a daily basis.
Acknowledging yourself.
And it's about acknowledging yourself.
Yeah.
So again, what could be some more examples of wins that the people out there or that you might be experiencing in your dating life that you're not kind of giving yourself a good enough pat on the back for at the moment?
Okay, so it could be any level of proactiveness and intentionality that you're actually investing in your dating life. So whether that's because you're doing online dating and you've got profiles set up and you're sending out messages and you're actually being in communication with people with messages, whether it's because you're being open to going on dates, whether it's because you've actually gone on dates, whether it's because you're giving yourself that time to have the rest as well, whether it's even actually being part of this webinar.
That's a win.
Is a win.
It's a win. It's a definite win. So you can write that one down right now.
Right in a list.
Yeah. It could also be a win that even if you, for instance, turn up to that gallery or you turn up to that party and you know what, you do the rule of I'm going to stay for 20 minutes because actually I really want to be home on my sofa, but I'm going to really push myself because I might meet someone. If you go after 20 minutes, don't walk away thinking, oh, you know, I'm so bad, I chickened out early on. Yeah. Instead, can you just recognise the fact that you did what you wouldn't have done in the past and you've actually left the house, you've gone out there and you've tried to engage with people?
Yeah. 100%, yeah. We've got one question before we kind of
do a
finish
little
up and tie
recap?
up. Yeah, before we do a
Nice.
recap. And this is from Michael from Great Britain, and they're asking about how to deal with shyness.
Oh, I know this is a topic you love to talk about as well, so I'm going to bounce this back to you in a bit,
Okay.
because I know that we were talking about this actually before we came over, and we are both acknowledged introverts.
Yeah.
Like, we would both say that we were shy people. And actually, I think sometimes shyness gets a bad rap in the area of dating,
Yeah.
because what does everybody tell you to be when it comes to dating?
Be confident.
Be confident.
We were
Just
hearing
be
that.
confident. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure. Being confident, super easy.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel that it is super easy to be confident, how do you get past that shyness?
Okay, from my own experience, what I can share is, and I'll say this in a very short way, there was a point that I got to where I realised there was actually nothing wrong with being shy. For such a long period of time, I thought there was something wrong with being shy, hence why I had to be confident. Through my own personal development, through my own process of trying to put myself out there, meet new people, etc., where I wanted to deal with that barrier that I thought I had of being shy, which is why I wasn't taking action, which was not the reason, it was just because I was not taking action. That was just my justification. And once I realised that was my justification, and the fact that actually I'm still taking action, but I still feel shy. So I can still feel shy and still take action and it actually be okay. So therefore, there's nothing wrong with being shy. And therefore, if there's nothing wrong with being shy, well, what are actually the advantages of being shy? What are actually the good attributes with being shy?
I think sometimes introverts, for instance, great listeners,
Yeah.
really able to connect with people. Sometimes you have a stronger intimacy one-on-one with a person. Also, you don't necessarily feel the need to immediately go out there and really over-impress somebody, and it can actually create a sense of security. So let's detach the idea of shyness from insecurity or being just not as good as being confident. And if you come from, just like Ash said, that place of self-acceptance where shyness is and can be awesome, it can be just as awesome as being outgoing, and you can still take the action steps, you're going to start to feel a lot better.
I remember hearing this saying, the difference between the hero and the coward isn't that they both don't feel fear, it's just that the hero takes action.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
So,
Recap?
a little recap. So, what we've spoken about is how you can recognise your wins. So that is writing down on a daily basis, what are you doing that is giving you in that process and that is taking action. And it could be as simple as showing up for this awesome live coaching session, or it could be going out to that party. It doesn't have to mean about getting a particular result.
Yeah.
Also, remember to take time to recharge your batteries. If you're feeling run down or really demotivated, it is all right to take a week or two just to do stuff that you really love and really enjoy, to feel good about yourself. Finally, really important one, get a daily mantra. We want you to be choosing a narrative that really empowers you.
Yeah.
So choose to talk to yourself. We're going to slowly, might not happen overnight, but we're going to slowly encourage you to get out of that I'm doomed or I'm not good enough way of thinking. And daily, if you repeat this, you are going to start to shift how you feel about dating and get your mojo back.
Yeah.
So we've covered quite a lot.
You have, yeah.
Yeah, and just to recap, I'm going to go over and do a mega recap of some action steps we would love you to take. So apart from the ones that we've just mentioned, we also want you to be thinking about what topics you want to talk about on a date. And those topics are topics that you find really interesting. And if you brought them up and the other person happened to be into the same thing, that would make you more interested in them. Remember, when you are talking to someone on a date, show that you're actively listening to them by repeating some of the words that they say and joining them in on the topics that they offer.
Be curious.
Be curious. Have that good body language. Remember the mindset of the interviewer. Also, going back more, if you find yourself tending to rush into relationships, tell yourself to stay in the moment, to take things day by day. Remind yourself to not come to conclusions too quickly. Remember as well to look at that list of qualities of a person that you really would like to have and separate that out into your must-haves and need-to-haves. Because remember, what we've been focusing on today is not only you feeling really good about yourself, but just reminding you that dating success and finding that amazing relationship, it's not all about trying to impress another person or be the best conversationalist or the most attractive person. It's actually about empowering you to remind yourself that you're good enough already, you're already so worthy, and what you need to do is to stay in the process, to really communicate clearly who you are, to give yourself that opportunity to find that most amazing connection.
Yeah, amazing. Really well done, Hayley.
Oh, thanks.
Amazing, amazing, seriously.
Awesome, thank you. See how Ashley is acknowledging my win here. Now I see what he's doing.